In this video, we're going to talk about Bionano Genomics. If you're considering about buying the shares in your portfolio, then please keep watching this video until the end because it covers many of the factors that should be considered regarding buying, holding, or selling the shares. During the most recent trading session, the stock opened at $6.43 and closed at $6.87. The lowest point at which it fell to was $6.29, and the highest point it rose to was $7.34. Compared to the current price action, its 52-week low was $43, and the 52-week high was $15.69. The current trading volume of Bionano Genomics is 29.9 million shares, compared to the average volume of 23.4 million shares. Overall, the trading volume of Bionano Genomics tells us a very important information. The company is still very in demand in the market, and investors are definitely keeping an eye out for the cheap entry point, for which many believe is now. This is often a self-fulfilling prophecy because the stock increases as buying volume increases, and so far it seems to be the case. Now, let's take a look at the enterprise value of the company, which represents how much the company's assets are worth once the debt is removed. The enterprise value of Bionano reflected the dynamic of the financial market over the last 12 months. From just below $45 million of value, it increased to a staggering $1.8 billion in Q1 2021. Before stabilizing at the current $1.6 billion. The main reason why the company is very much in demand is due to its capacity to research groundbreaking advancement for genomic healthcare, and the tendency will continue as long as the technology becomes mature and ready to be deployed. Another outside signal to observe is the total number of shares outstanding. Generally speaking, if the number of shares keeps increasing, then it suggests that a company is selling the equity to keep the ship afloat. The total amount of shares Bionano did increase significantly as well, but at a much slower pace than the enterprise value. From 92 million shares in Q2 of 2020, it increased to 280 million shares in Q1 of 2021. From the recent financial data, it seems like Bionano will no longer raise massive amounts of capital by selling equity. To summarize, the price trend of Bionano is very encouraging. The stock seems to have recovered from the bottom of $6.82, and the trading sessions since then managed to stay above that level. This may suggest that the downward trend for the stock is over, and that the time may be ripe for an entry point. Of course, this recovery is still fragile, and it is better to buy the stocks in small quantity for the time being until more convincing signals begin to show up. From the price action patterns, we may be able to get a glimpse of whether the stock has still steam to go upward. My opinion is it definitely has, it just takes time. Meanwhile, the financial market's overall sentiment is relatively reluctant at putting more money in the same genre of companies. Following the stock market craze back in 2020, the market decided to pull back from the disruptive and innovative stocks, including biotech, electric vehicles, and anything requiring keynote presentations. This wave of pullback can be explained in two ways. The market needed niches to park their money inside to avoid getting losses, and since the stock price of many of those niches increased multifold, some of them decided to lock in the profits and didn't mind the sell-off. The second reason was because the market began to realize how overly exposed investors became to the growth stocks. These are the reasons why the stock ultimately collapsed for so many companies that everyone was talking about. In the current circumstances, the recommended approach is to be careful when buying shares. On one hand, the stock may be able to climb back to its own when the operations begin to carry the stock price. On the other, the stock may simply increase because it fell low enough. This means that in the current market settings, we need to tread the water carefully regarding buying stocks. Many of them have become overpriced over the past 12 months, and we may need to wait for another few weeks or even month before the timing is ripe to increase our holdings. With that being said, there will always be sudden events that will create a lot of volatility for individual companies, and this is why it is always recommended to hold a small position in those stocks in case you fear missing out. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.